Okay, well, let's just get going here. So the first thing I'm going to look at here is the flood situation. So to do that, I'm going to pull to the 511. I'm going to take a look at some live cameras, and the more pressing one is the Morris camera. So as you can see here, they are building dike. They're preparing to close it, so they've been basically, I've been watching this camera all day here, and this is just north of Morris, and you can see the Surrey River is basically at the bridge here. So this is Highway 75, and you're looking south toward Morris. Well, you can see here that they basically all day they brought a bunch of sand and dirt, and yeah, they're ready to essentially close the dike here, so that Highway 75 will be closed for quite some time if they do so. I was actually in Manitoba the last time they closed it, and it was interesting. Okay, so while having that open here, let's see if I can make this bigger. So let's go through this. I'm gonna close that. All right, so here, we can go through the latest. So this is the flood report for Manitoba from Manitoba Infrastructure, issued today, and they issue one every day. And you can also go on the, I have it open here, and I'm just gonna close this. So here's the website. So if you want to bookmark that, so Manitoba Infrastructure flood out, they have all their flood outlooks, and they even do morning conditions for each river across Manitoba. Anyways, it's a bunch of information on this website here. So anyways, so I just wanted you to know where I got this information from. I didn't write it myself. So okay, let's go through it. So there's still flood warnings for the Red River at Emerson to the Red River floodway. So basically from the U.S. border to Winnipeg, the La Salle River, the Assiniboine River, and they now extended it from St. Lazare to Brandon, and the Pembina River. So those are flood warnings that are currently still in effect today, April 27th. So now there's a flood watch for the Red River tributaries, so essentially the river is going into the red, and there's high water advisory for the Whiteshell Lakes area. So again, this is another source telling you that there's another precipitation system or another system coming that will impact Manitoba and bring some more precipitation into watersheds. So yeah, here's the Highway 75 possible closure, dike closure. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for that. So let's go into the model land, or I guess I should say to the warning land. So this afternoon, Environment Canada issued the special weather statement for pretty much all of southern Manitoba, and we posted it on our page. But let's just go through it for people that haven't seen it yet. So the special weather statement basically acknowledges that there's another Colorado low coming this weekend, and basically the third major system that will impact Manitoba in 3 weeks, and there's already like a flooding problem in Manitoba, overland flooding problem in Manitoba. Ground's really saturated. So the difference is that this system will mainly be rain, not snow. So we're expecting precipitation in the form of rain. And I see there's a bunch of people in here now, so if you have any questions, just put in the comments there. I'll get to that when I see them. Okay, so that's the special weather statements, and also Southeast Saskatchewan is also in that. So now let's look at a bit of models. This one. So now the medium range models such as the NAM 12K is in range of this system now. So you can see It's crazy how consistent it's been. So the Colorado low forms off Colorado, um, and here you can see, in green is all rain, and then blue's snow. So you can see if there's any snow, it'll probably be like Turtle Mountain, higher elevation areas, which is what I point out in my original forecast. And now you can see that most Manitoba will just see rain out of this. So it's pretty classic Colorado low here, but the temperature is going to be the thing. So you're probably not going to be seeing a lot of snow from this, which is good news. So here's a different model. So here's the European Ensemble model. You can see the Colorado low forming a bit off southeast Colorado here. So this is basically what we're watching is the track of this low. Further south, southern track like this model is depicting, precipitation might not reach all the way into Manitoba, or it'll be lighter precipitation. So that's one model here. So let's look at the American one. You can see the American one, similar thing going on. So I'm actually going to we're going to zoom in to the prairies, and then I'm going to do the low location member. So here you can see a general consensus that the low will go through Nebraska and then southern Minnesota. Okay, so now if we look at the precipitation axis, and I'm going to use the National Blended Model, unless it's not there yet. Oh yeah, okay, so just going to stick to temperature then. So here you go, temperature. So it's going to be warmer in Manitoba, so that's going to help with melting a lot more snow. You see the lakes are depicting as colder, so you know the model's working correctly. So the water's still pretty cold, so it should have colder temperatures than surrounding land, because land warms faster. And then those little pockets of purples here that are not over water body, so that's probably because there's snow on the ground here. So far the model's picking that up pretty good. So this little purple area here west of Lake Manitoba is actually the Riding Mountain. So Riding Mountain has a lot of snow, and actually I'll just pull camera here. Oh, it looks like they cleared the highway, but there's still a lot of snow on the ground. So anyways, this is a good exercise if you're forecasting, to make sure that the model is working well. Okay, so now we look into Saturday, when the precipitation should hit Manitoba, if it does. So we got above zero temperatures, and again on Sunday above zero. So it should all be rain from this system here. So let's pull at the precip. So you can see here, this is using the NAM again. So you can see that Saturday is basically where it starts impacting Manitoba, and then it moves off after Sunday. So if we look at precipitation amounts, again, this is just one model run from the NAM, but you can see about 40 millimeters of rain here, well into the Winnipeg area. So let's look at actually a different model. So National Blend again, so you can see that precipitation here. So this is favoring a southern track for the Colorado low. So you can see a 20 millimeter axis in blue here, that pretty much on the Manitoba North Dakota border. But then as you move further north, there's lesser precipitation amounts. So this is favoring a southern track. I think we can pull. Okay, so this is an ensemble here, and you can see that you have about 20 millimeters going all the way to the lakes, Manitoba lakes here. So keep in mind that obviously, like if you're tuning in from Manitoba here, you know that the Red River flows from south to north. So all the precipitation that's happening in North Dakota will eventually, move north into Manitoba. So that's something we need to consider here. Although I think we'll be think will be mainly spared because I think the Red River is going to crest in the next few days here, so we might be lucky. So now let's look at the American model for the same thing. So here you can see a higher precipitation axis going into the white shell area, up to 30 millimeters. This is showing. So yeah, basically the main point of this is that there is still a strong possibility that a system is going to bring rain to Manitoba, and it's just going to cause a lot more of overland flooding over the weekend and into next week as temperatures continue to rise. So here, I'll just show you instead of saying it. So you can see the temperatures will not go below zero for quite some time, if hopefully not for the rest of spring, but it looks like it'll stay above zero. So you're gonna get continuous, more thaw, and the ground's just already so saturated. So it might be dealing with some flooding for quite a bit longer than just a few days or after this system here. So any kind of precipitation, even if this is why this is important. So even if it's 5 millimeters of rain that falls, but over a very large area, say all of southern Manitoba gets 5 millimeters of rain, that may not seem like a lot of precipitation, but when you add it up to the watershed, groundwater and going into the river systems, that's a lot of water. So it might not seem a lot, but when we're talking, like Environment Canada is talking about, what was it, 20 to 50 here? Yeah, 20 to 50 millimeters. So that's a huge amount of water across a large area, which is already fully saturated and already experiencing flooding. So like I said, so if you want the latest information, just go to the Manitoba Infrastructure website, and then you can pull the daily reports. Where is it? You can pull the morning reports for each river, and you can pull the daily flood report. So that's what I grabbed here. I grabbed this, so this is the report for today that we went over at the start of this video. So when this live is over, just feel free to go back. But basically this flood report says there's still a bunch of warnings, flood warnings, and flood watch, and a high water advisory for the White Shell Lakes area. So this high water advisory here, some models are showing 20 to 30 millimeters of precipitation for the White Shell area this weekend. So that'll probably get translated into a flood watch or something if that actually becomes real. So the Surrey River is basically the one that we're looking at right now for the Morris area. Just pull these cameras again. So we were talking about the Morris area earlier. So that's probably the highest concern right now is this Surrey River right now. So as far as I can see here, looking at the cams, you're still allowed to drive on Highway 75. So if they close it, it'll probably be in the next few days. As you can see here on this camera here, the water level is basically at the bridge. I know they don't close it for no reason. They're gonna keep traffic because this is like the main traffic to go to the U.S. border. So you're gonna wait until the very last second to close it here. All right, so no questions. If you have any questions, just put it in the chat while we're going through this, the latest data here. So yeah, so one of the things that I'm going to be looking at in the next few days is the medium to shorter range models here are going to start picking up on this system. So you can already see here the latest NAM 3-kilometer resolution model still shows a Colorado low ejecting over Sioux Falls. So this would bring precipitation to Manitoba, North Dakota. So it's a pretty pretty good consensus in the model still, so that's why I didn't post an update in the last few days, but because I think my original discussion was still pretty accurate, or a good reflection of what I'm seeing on models today. So this, like the European is almost exactly the same here, for the low positioning than I was seeing several days ago. So there's one thing that I said in my previous discussion here is that unlike most Colorado low that we've seen in the last 2 weeks, this low will develop, and then instead of intensifying and moving northeast across Minnesota like we usually see, and that usually brings a lot of winds, strong winds and cold temperature to Manitoba and the prairie provinces when the low intensifies. This one should not intensify, it should actually weaken a little bit, as it's, instead of moving northeast, it kind of tracks east and weakens. So that's good news. So the precipitation shouldn't be accompanied by a lot of strong winds, and strong winds can actually melt a lot of snow. If you didn't know that. Okay, so that's pretty much what I'm seeing, still on track. So what I would expect is that these special weather statements will be replaced by either rainfall warnings, probably rainfall warnings in the next few days here, at least for parts of closer to the border, the US border. All right, that's pretty much what I had. So let's just take a look one last time at the chat. No questions. All right, well, I'm going to stop it then, but by the way, the moving text at the bottom here is basically just a special weather statement text from the Environment Canada. All right, so I'll keep you updated in the next few days. Hopefully it misses you guys, and actually there's not a lot of flooding, so I'm hoping that will happen.